After a tough few days, the Philadelphia Eagles were finally able to get their roster from 90 down to 53, and there were bound to be shocks along the way. One of the most surprising names to appear on the final roster was former Sacramento State wide receiver DeAndre Carter. The 5'8", 190-pound slot receiver was a pre-season standout. Second to only Shelton Gibson in receiving yards, it was clear to see that the former undrafted free agent had plenty of potential. But what prompted the Eagles to keep him over some of the more prominent wide receiver names like Kamar Aiken and Marcus Wheaton? Well, it's time to learn more about the best wide receiver you've never heard of. I'm Liam Jenkins, and this is another episode of Eagles Film Room. Let's start off with his catch radius, and more importantly his ability to adjust to the football. On this comeback route against the Browns, the game is hanging in the balance with 27 seconds left, and Carter makes sure he catches this crucial fourth down pass with his body, hauling it into the sideline and adding in some toe drag swag just for good measure. It's a great play by the former undrafted wideout, but the way that Carter's able to sell that route inside and then push his body back towards the middle to shrug off that cornerback is more than impressive. Perhaps the finest example of his catch radius though came against the New England Patriots with this terrific reception from a Nate Sudfeld dart over the middle. What's more impressive is that he somehow is able to find his feet and then push for extra yardage as opposed to just falling on the spot. But because he's only 5'8", it doesn't mean he's without hops. Carter leaps up in the air, pulls this one from the sky and immediately turns his body back towards the end zone and shields the ball. It's those traits which can often be eluded in receivers but come in so handy. And on this snag from the New York Jets again, hauls it into his body and then braces for impact instead of letting the ball hang on the outside and risk giving it up on a fumble or even worse being stripped of it. Look at the way he turns and faces the ball, then moves his body as one whole movement. It's not just that he's got a big catch radius for a shorter receiver, it's his adjustment to the ball. Here with two defenders on him, he's practically falling over trying to make that reception, but it's the effort that counts, and it's the willingness to go up for those contests where not all receivers would. He relies on his instinct and his mentality as opposed to his physical traits, and that can give him such an edge in route running, which we'll get to shortly. And the same could be seen during his college tape as well. On this touchdown reception, he's turning, looking for the ball, and again plucking it out of the sky. When you take a closer look at the route running and see how quickly he's able to diagnose the rub route, move his body inside to sell it perfectly, and then adjust, turn for the ball, stride into the back of the end zone, and again, look at that, he knows he's open, and all he's got to do is finish the play. It's great awareness by the young wideout. But talking of awareness, on this slant route, he's against two Browns defenders who are clearly in zone coverage and are going to pinch him very tightly. Instead of just accepting that or taking a bit of a knock on the route, Carter uses his hips to actually get around the back of the linebacker and create a nice window for the quarterback to sling the ball into. But when we look at the route running and the way that takes place, it just shows great awareness from the 25-year-old. Watch the way that Carter from the line of scrimmage positions himself perfectly to take advantage of a linebacker that's not looking, and then almost speed rushes his way around his outside arm and then takes the move inside when he's got the ball, shielding it with his inside arm. It's just a great play all round, and when you look at it from an intricate level, it's even more so. This brings us very neatly onto his route running, and more importantly getting separation at the line of scrimmage. On this target against the Browns that fell incomplete, look at the way that Carter is able to use a lightning first step to get in front of the corner, but then use that to actually get in front of his route to block him almost and create a barrier. It's a neat little trick that he's got, and we see another example of it on his college tape as well. It's that lightning first step that sells the outside route and then breaks in front of the cornerback, making it very difficult to track indeed. And you can't win the stem of the route if you don't have momentum from that opening couple of steps. But even on screen passes, Carter is still bringing a high football IQ. The burst and acceleration he's got from a 0 to 100 is just remarkable, but the intricacy of this play is again what stands out. Here we see Foles take the snap, and at that point Carter runs a few steps forward to sell the safety just to back a few steps. That gives Ertz time to go and make his block and open the window for a big gain and a first down for DeAndre Carter. but what may be one of his best plays from this game came in the fourth quarter, again out of the slot. He runs up and creates a vast amount of separation. He didn't make the catch, but look at how far ahead he is of the man that's standing behind him. That gap was not there at the line of scrimmage. He comes right across his face, and we'll see it again out of the slot. The ability to bully his way down the stem of the route and keep pushing and pushing and use that inside arm to gain leverage. It's such a strength for a shorter, much more compact wide receiver to have. But when it all comes together, you get a play like this. This is DeAndre Carter at his finest, again lining up in the slot, gets right across the cornerback's face and hauls in a pass, snagging it away from a leaping linebacker and making a huge play. Slow it down. At this point, he turns it in one fluid movement, his entire body to angle inside away from a cornerback and snatch in a ball. It is so difficult to do, and is what makes Carter so dangerous. He's elusive, and those sudden bodily movements, his entire body moves at the same time. He's fluid in transition, he's got the strength to battle through the stem of the route, and he's got the leaping ability to still be a threat at the catch point. Even against 6'2" and 6'3" cornerbacks, he's still got the willingness to go up and get a ball, and that is why the Eagles like him so much, because whether it's getting separation at the line, whether it's battling through the stem, or finishing the route, or even the route running itself, he won't take no for an answer, and that's what the Eagles want in a wide receiver. In terms of where he's going to fit in, I think it's great to see that he can play both inside and outside, and we saw that in the tape today. He's someone that could well back up Nelson Agholor in the future, or with the current lack of depth at the position due to injury, could see some snaps outside late in games depending on how the score is going to run up. But the big thing to note is that Carter is on the NFL roster, and learning under Gunter Brewer, along with Alshon Jeffrey and Nelson Agholor, if he's already this good, and at the age of 25, there's still a lot of growing room there for him, so the sky really could be the limit. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't believe the last episode got nearly 1,000 likes. This is absolutely insane to me. So if you're new around here, if you've not hit subscribe yet, hit that red button. Make sure you're visiting phillysportsnetwork.com for daily Eagles content, and hit that like button. Let's keep this community growing. There will be another Film Room episode coming a bit later this week in preparation for the new season, as well as our new live stream series as well. So from myself, Liam Jenkins, we'll see you next time for another episode of Eagles Film Room.